Am I the antagonist for giving my graduation ticket to my stepmom and introducing her as my parent? My dad, who is currently 36 years old, had a girlfriend named Melanie when they were in high school. They had me when they were both 18 years old. During that time, my dad wanted my mom to consider terminating the pregnancy because he had dreams of going to college. However, since Melanie was a Baptist, she refused his request. Despite this, my dad respected her decision and chose to forego college in order to start a family. However, when I was only 6 months old, Melanie had a change of heart and decided that this wasn't the life she wanted. She had a breakdown, left me with my dad, and moved away. My grandparents and my dad took care of me while he attended a smaller college in our state. Sometime later, he met Anita, an Indian exchange student, and they got married by the time I turned 2 years old. This is why I refer to Anita as my mom, even though she is technically my stepmom. She has always treated me and my brother Peter as her own children and has never shown any favoritism. In fact, she is my best friend. Last year, Melanie contacted me after she had moved to our state. She was married with 2 kids around the same age as my brother. She kept asking me to spend time with her and my siblings, but I didn't really care about her since she had never shown any interest in my life until I turned 17. I declined her request to call her mom, which made her a little upset. She ended up paying for herself, her children, and her husband to attend an award ceremony where I received a state award and a full college scholarship. During my speech at the ceremony, I thanked my parents for their support and joked about choosing a college far away because they both taught at mine. After the event, an official assumed that my dad and Melanie were my parents, given that I am white. I corrected him and told him that my parents are actually my dad and Anita, so he congratulated them instead. This upset Melanie, and she started crying, claiming that it was insulting for me to refer to Anita as my parent, and that it was embarrassing for me to say that an Indian lady was my mom. My dad quickly took us away from the situation, but Melanie has been posting on Facebook about children of divorce being brainwashed and elitists looking down on those who didn't go to college. I am now questioning if I did something wrong. Should I have included Melanie and called her mom just to avoid any awkwardness because we are of the same race? Did I embarrass her in public? Your advice would be appreciated. You are not obligated to call Melanie mom just because she is your biological mother. It is clear that Anita has been your mother figure throughout your life, and it is perfectly valid for you to regard her as your mom. Furthermore, you had the right to choose who you wanted to invite to your award ceremony, including who was referred to as your parents. It was your special moment, and you wanted to acknowledge the person who has been there for you and helped you with your education. That is completely understandable and valid. Melanie's reaction seems to stem from her own insecurities and perhaps regret for her past decisions. It is unfortunate that she is trying to guilt-trip you and insult your choice of parents. You have every right to be proud of your family and to prioritize the person who has been there for you throughout your life. Overall, it is important to prioritize your own feelings and relationships. It is not your responsibility to appease others or conform to societal expectations. You have a loving family who supports you, and that is what matters most. Am I the antagonist for not wanting to financially support my mother? As for context, I, 19-year-old female, am the youngest of 5, and for as long as I can remember, we've lived under extreme poverty. Many factors go into this. My mom being a single mother, mental illness, minimal support from other family members, but a good portion of it stems from financial illiteracy and an unwillingness to work. Now, I don't want to make it seem like I have no empathy for her, because that's not the case at all. She does have physical limitations from a car accident we were in 7 years ago, but before that, my mom never worked more than a few weeks at a couple jobs here and there, instead relying on food stamps and child support from her ex-husband while we lived in government housing. I don't look down on her for utilizing government support. What I do have a problem with is her reaction to my particular circumstance. I was essentially raised by my brothers and sisters, my mom only getting involved with me when she wanted to show me off to her friends like I was some kind of doll. All my life, she seemed to have this constant grudge held against me, always finding ways to pick apart any part of my identity. I've always been expected to be her punching bag, yet also act as her personal therapist with issues I should not have been exposed to at such a young age. Yet despite all that, I was expected to cover the majority of our living expenses by the time I was 17. Anytime I try to save up enough money to move out or even pay for college, she takes out a loan for something frivolous like a new phone, and I have to give her the money she would have spent to pay for living expenses if it weren't for her impulse decisions. She does work now, minimum wage, but the money she does make is spent on those loans. In her mind, I'm supposed to give her more than half my paycheck on a dime, and if I try to set boundaries, I get harassed almost 24/7. We butt heads over this often, and today she came to me asking for another sporadic $200 out of nowhere. I told her that I didn't want to have this conversation at the time because I was tired from work and really didn't feel like arguing with her as I'm trying to figure out another budget that can somehow fit my rent system she makes me follow. She then told me that I'm acting like a spoiled individual and that there's no point in trying to move out because I'm too psychotic to make it in the real world. I don't think I'm being unreasonable about this, but I feel like after years of having the same argument, I need some outside perspectives. Am I the asshole? It sounds like you have been shouldering an unfair burden for a long time. Your mother's financial irresponsibility and emotional manipulation are not your responsibility. Expecting you to give her more than half of your paycheck and constantly harassing you for money is unreasonable and unfair. You have every right to set boundaries and prioritize your own future, whether that means saving for college or moving out. Your mother's comment about you being psychotic and unable to make it in the real world is mean-spirited and uncalled for. It's clear that she has her own issues and insecurities that she is projecting onto you. It's important for your own well-being to distance yourself from this toxic environment and focus on building a better future for yourself. Consider seeking outside support, such as talking to a trusted adult, a counselor, or contacting local resources for assistance with your situation. You deserve better than this and should not have to carry the burden of your family's financial troubles on your own. Am I the antagonist for ruining my friend's honeymoon? So my friends recently got married during the COVID pandemic and they're finally going on their honeymoon this month. As part of their trip, they'll be visiting multiple countries, including mine. We actually met online about 4 years ago and have kept in touch through web chats. And now, the exciting part is that we're finally going to meet in person. Since they'll be staying in my country for a couple of weeks, I offered them the option to stay at my house so we can spend more time together. However, just a few weeks before their arrival, they informed me that in order for them to enter my country, I need to sign a responsibility statement for the Foreign Nationals and Border Service. This statement requires me to provide my home address, confirm the dates they'll be staying, and acknowledge that I am responsible for them during their visit. It also states that I'd have to cover any financial costs if something goes wrong. I was a bit alarmed and unsure if I wanted to take on such a big responsibility. You might be wondering, why hesitate when they're your friends? Well, while we have connected online, I can't help but be cautious due to the numerous scams that exist nowadays. I just don't want to end up being taken advantage of or being too naive. Furthermore, there were a few red flags or situations that I might be misinterpreting given my current unease about their request. Recently, they mentioned wanting to obtain citizenship in my country or another. Additionally, they've asked for my home address multiple times in relation to their trip, first for a phone card and then to have something delivered from Amazon. I found it strange that they would want to send items to my house in a foreign country, especially since it's something they could easily obtain themselves at a low cost. It's also concerning that it would be quite easy for them to falsify the responsibility statement by just filling in the required information and faking my signature. Overall, their behavior has made me feel like they're taking me for granted and being overly comfortable in their requests. I might be overthinking this, but I can't help it. Anyway, I was honest with them and explained that I didn't feel comfortable signing the document due to the immense responsibility it entails. I assured them that I'm more than happy to have them stay at my house, but I don't want to run into any legal problems. Of course, they were upset by my decision, claiming that I'm ruining their honeymoon since they can't enter my country without the document. They also said that I shouldn't live in fear and all that. I understand their frustration, and I'd probably feel the same way in their shoes. However, I'm not willing to take the risk. Additionally, their attitude during this whole situation hasn't been the best. They only informed me about the document 2 weeks prior to their arrival, and instead of trying to discuss and ease my concerns, they started to argue with me and make negative comments. That's why I'm posting this here, to seek other perspectives since my judgment might be biased. What do you think? Am I the one in the wrong here? Your concerns are valid. It's understandable to be cautious when it comes to strangers staying at your house and taking on legal responsibilities for them. You have every right to prioritize your own safety and peace of mind. It's concerning that they only informed you about this document 2 weeks before their arrival and didn't try to reassure you or address your concerns. Their reaction, getting upset and making you feel guilty, is not a fair response. They should have been more understanding of your perspective. Additionally, their previous mention of wanting another citizenship and repeatedly asking for your home address raises red flags. It's important to trust your instincts and not feel pressured into taking risks that make you uncomfortable. It's great that they found someone else to sign the document for them, and it's even better that they are making it seem like staying with this person is a better option. This shows that they are not willing to compromise or address your concerns, which further validates your decision. Overall, you are not the asshole for prioritizing your safety and declining to sign the responsibility statement. Am I the antagonist for telling my husband that I can't help him with his mental struggles? My husband, who is 38 years old, is struggling with his workload and the responsibilities of being an involved dad. Both of us work full-time and our son is in daycare. I have the ability to work from home half the time. We share the childcare responsibilities equally. He is a nurse and I work in an office. I earn more money, so I pay a larger portion of the shared bills. I also take care of more household chores, such as cleaning, taking care of our pets, and doing laundry. His only weekly chore that I won't do is mowing the lawn. We have discussed the workload and the mental load, which is primarily my responsibility. However, the situation has not improved, and he often compares himself to other dads and believes he does more than them. For about 6 months now, my husband has been struggling with his workload and feels like he can't enjoy life as he did before our son was born. He goes to bed early, around 9 p.m., and complains that he can't even watch TV until 10 p.m. He daydreams about going back to farming, which was a difficult experience for him in the past because he had no help and it didn't work out. I find it hard to understand why he fantasizes about it. He also talks about quitting his current job and has a promise to himself that if he ever feels this way again, he will do something else. I remind him that he is not alone anymore and that we have responsibilities, such as taking care of our son and paying our mortgage and living expenses. Currently, we don't have the financial means for him to learn a new trade. The number of times he complains makes it seem like he blames our son and me for his unhappiness. Recently, he complained again, this time loudly. I told him that I can't offer much help and that I am also struggling. He has an appointment with a therapist for the first time on Monday, but he reacted negatively to my suggestion that the therapist might be able to provide a better solution. He became angry, called me an asshole for not taking him seriously, and claimed that his mental health is important. Before I could say anything else, he stormed off, slammed the door, and went to bed. He even mentioned canceling his therapy appointment because if I couldn't help him, why should a therapist? So, am I the asshole for not being able to help my husband? I often feel responsible for his unhappiness and wonder if I'm to blame. You are not obligated to be your husband's therapist, and it is not fair for him to place the blame on you for not being able to help him with his mental health struggles. You have been supportive by encouraging him to seek professional help, which is the best course of action in this situation. It sounds like you have been carrying a significant part of the household responsibilities, both financially and in terms of chores. It's understandable that you also struggle with your own workload while juggling childcare and household management. It's important for both partners to communicate openly about their needs and find a balance that works for both of you. Your husband's complaints and fantasies about quitting his job or becoming a farmer again may stem from his dissatisfaction with his current situation. However, it's not fair for him to blame you or your child for his unhappiness. It's commendable that he has taken steps to seek therapy, and it's crucial that he follows through with his appointment to address his mental health concerns in a professional setting. Remember to prioritize your own mental well-being as well, as it can be draining to carry the weight of both your responsibilities and your husband's struggles. Open communication and seeking support, both individually and as a couple, can help address these issues more effectively. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom can't have the family she wants anymore? A few weeks ago, my mom informed me, 16 female, that she wanted to have a serious conversation about the current situation between us. Our relationship has been turbulent since I was around 10 or 11 years old, and she expressed her desire to reconcile and find a way forward. Background: when I was 9 years old, my mom remarried after my father passed away from the flu when I was only 6. My parents were quite young, only 19 when they had me, and they got married while my mom was pregnant. My mom grew up in a household with numerous step and half siblings, as well as multiple parents from different relationships. She wanted a different life for herself and for me. At that point, she had been together with my dad for 2 years, and they genuinely loved each other, so marriage wasn't a concern. Unfortunately, my dad's death had a significant impact on our lives. When I was 8, my mom met her second husband and eventually married him when I turned 9. They told me that he wanted to adopt me, but I refused. This refusal marked the beginning of our relationship issues. Regardless, my mom and her husband disregarded my objection, and we even reached the point where the adoption was likely to be approved by the court. However, the judge wanted to speak with me, and I made it clear that I didn't want the adoption to proceed. Surprisingly, the judge listened to my wishes. That's when things turned for the worse. My mom didn't take it well when I refused to call her husband dad and insisted on using the term half-siblings instead of just siblings. She yelled at me loudly, and our relationship became even more strained. During our recent conversation, my mom expressed the immense pressure she feels. She detailed her experiences of being judged as a child for conforming to black stereotypes, such as having fathers who were often absent, and a complex family structure involving multiple parents and siblings with different relationships. Mom always longed for a nuclear family, and when my dad supported her and they married, she felt relieved that she could have that. However, she faced judgment again due to her young age when they had me. She emphasized the importance of me accepting her husband as my dad, as it demonstrates respect and love, while also painting her as a good mother in the eyes of others who previously judged her. My mom mentioned the criticism I've received for not calling her husband dad from nosy individuals. She revealed that she receives even harsher judgment, as people blame her for the situation. She highlighted how having a nuclear family was her lifelong dream, and she hoped I would help us achieve that by accepting the changes that occurred after my dad's death and wholeheartedly embracing everyone as though they naturally belong in our family. She believed that my refusal to use the terms sibling and dad implies rejection of their place in our family. She asked me to contemplate these factors, not only for her sake and her dream, but also to prevent people from harshly judging her. In response, I explained to my mom that she can no longer have the exact family she desires. However, I reassured her that she already has a family, which includes me. I urged her to accept our family as it is, and not attempt to mold us into something we're not. I made it clear that I don't wish for us to become the family of her dreams. Unfortunately, my statement angered my mom, leading to more yelling, and she has been visibly upset since then. So am I the asshole in this situation? It is important to recognize that you have your own feelings and preferences. You have the right to define your own relationships and decide how you want to address your stepfather and half-siblings. It seems like your mom is pressuring you to conform to her vision of a family without considering your own feelings and experiences. It's not fair for her to expect you to ignore your emotions and pretend that everything is fine. You have a right to express yourself and have your own opinions about your family dynamics. Additionally, your mom should not be seeking validation from others by trying to force you into a certain role or relationship. Your family's worth should not be determined by other people's opinions. It is important for your mom to understand and respect your boundaries. It might be beneficial for both of you to have an open and honest conversation about your feelings and find ways to improve your relationship without disregarding your own needs and wants. Would I be the antagonist if I accepted an offer to work abroad against my husband's wishes? I, a 26-year-old female, F26, received an offer from my boss to relocate abroad for a period of 6 months next year. The purpose of the move would be to open a new branch for our agency and become the branch manager. The destination is just a 2-hour flight away. This opportunity is extremely exciting for me, especially considering my age, and it's a result of the hard work I've put in as a project manager and team leader for the past 2+ years. Initially starting in the former role, I eventually took on the latter role as well. The best part is that all expenses for the move will be covered. Career-wise, this is a dream come true. However, there is a complication. My 29-year-old husband, M29, does not want to move. He is currently preparing for an exam in December that will grant him the necessary qualifications for his profession, similar to the bar exam in the US. If he passes, his salary will increase, and he will be able to become more independent. However, this opportunity is only available in our home country. He is uncertain about finding a job abroad, and he strongly opposes the idea of moving. On the other hand, I earn 3 times his salary, and we would still live comfortably if I were to accept the offer. But understandably, he is concerned about interrupting his career, especially when it's finally gaining momentum. He wants to save as much as possible to achieve our future goals, such as buying a house and starting a family. I share the same aspirations, just not necessarily at this moment. It would take us some time to save enough money regardless, and I plan to negotiate my salary for the new position to ensure we can stay on track with our plans. To provide some context, my husband has always been more focused on domestic matters and has no interest in learning new languages or traveling. I, on the other hand, consider myself a global citizen. I can speak 3 foreign languages and I'm currently learning a 4th. I've always dreamed of an international career, whether it involves traveling or living abroad. During our relationship, I have moved abroad twice for over a year, so we know that long-distance relationships can work. However, when I returned 3 years ago, we made the decision together that we no longer wanted to maintain a long-distance relationship. So I stayed. When we discussed this new opportunity, my husband's attitude towards me changed instantly. He became distant and cold. While we are still able to communicate normally, he gets annoyed whenever the topic comes up. He hasn't explicitly told me not to go alone or with our dog, but he isn't supportive or happy about it either. Therefore, I'm wondering if I would be in the wrong if I accept this offer. You have worked hard to get to where you are in your career, and this offer is a dream come true for you. It's understandable that you would want to pursue this opportunity and continue to grow professionally. It's also important to note that you have already made sacrifices in the past by staying in one place for the past 3 years for the sake of your husband's career. While it's unfortunate that your husband is not supportive of your decision, it's essential to prioritize your own ambitions and goals. You have been accommodating in the past by staying in one place, and you should not have to put your career on hold indefinitely for the sake of his. It's possible to have a long-distance relationship and make it work, especially given your successful past experiences. That being said, it is crucial to have an open and honest conversation with your husband about your desires and the potential impact on your relationship. It would be wise to address his concerns and fears and try to find a compromise that works for both of you, such as setting a timeline for your return or finding ways for him to continue his professional growth in a new location. Overall, pursuing this career opportunity does not make you an asshole. It's important to prioritize your own happiness and professional development, while also considering the needs and desires of your partner. Communication and compromise will be key in navigating this situation. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.